Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a beautiful, let's see, it's Thursday, right? I just came back from a conference yesterday, so I'm still trying to figure out who I am and where I'm at. But welcome this Thursday afternoon to our Connecting Kansas Counties May 23rd webinar presentation, Building Wildfire Resilient Communities. And I am Kimberly Qualls with KAC, an Education and Communications Coordinator. And we are excited to have this presentation from the Kansas Forest Service. And just as a reminder, we will be recording today's call, so we can share that out for those who aren't able to join the call today, or if you have some folks too you want to share it with in your county, that will be available. And as well, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please go ahead and type them into the chat box. And thank you everyone for going ahead and giving us your name and county and who you're with. That just gives, again, our presenters an idea of who all is on today's call and the roles from the county that you're coming from. And I think with that, we've got Kansas Forest Service Fuels Specialist, Luke Berning, and Assistant Fire Management Officer, Dennis Carlson, who have joined us for this afternoon's webinar presentation. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and Luke, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you.
Well, thank you. Thanks everyone for being on this afternoon. So yeah, I'm Luke Berning. I'm the fuel specialist for the Kansas Forest Service, and part of my role is to help Kansans reduce their risk of catastrophic wildfire. And at the Kansas Forest Service, we see that catastrophic wildfires are increasing in this state. And so the efforts that we're talking about here today is just part of our effort to reduce Kansans' risk of destruction through catastrophic wildfire. So my presentation today is really an advertisement. What I really want to do is bring this content to your communities, to the residents, to homeowners associations, to subdivisions, groups of landowners that are in high-risk areas, and present this content. I don't expect you all to take what I talk about today and be experts on it and share it with your counties. What Dennis and I would really like to do is today show you the content, show you our presentation, what we talk about, and then say, hey, we would love to come to your community and share this with the subdivisions, the homeowners associations, the groups of landowners that are in high-risk areas, and share this content with them. So this will be fairly brief. In full, this presentation is about 45 minutes, and we're not going to do that today. I'll be moving fairly quickly through the content just to kind of give you folks an idea of the concepts that we hit. But again, we would love to bring this to your community and share the full version and begin working with folks to apply these principles to reduce the number of homes and structures that we are losing in the state. Dennis, do you have anything to add before I get into the content?
No, that sounds very good. And of course, this is a free advertisement.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, presentation is free. We're happy to come out. So we'll jump into some of the content. So there we go. So when we start with this presentation, in many of the areas of the state, unless it's an area like the Sandhills that has just been getting hit with fire after fire for years, a lot of the time we need to bring in a little bit of yes, Kansas does have wildfire risk. Our risk is increasing. The number of catastrophic wildfires that we have are increasing. The number of homes that we lose, it's increasing, and we need to get ahead of it. And so we kind of start off with, why are we even here? Let's lay the foundation of this is what our risk is today in 2024. And so depending on the community, we'll pull maps and show like, hey, 40 years ago, this area was pure grassland. The flame lengths, if there was a wildfire, were maybe 8 to 10 feet. And our departments are great at stopping those. they are dialed at stopping grass fires. But today you can see that woody encroachment, eastern red cedar, has greatly expanded, and our fires are not what they were. Now we're dealing with crown fires, with ember showers, all these different things. And so we begin by showing the community, like, this is how things have changed. This is why your wildfires are worse. We talk about with the landowners, how do homes burn down? You know, most of us, I know certainly before I was educated on this stuff, the flaming front roaring through the forest, that kind of thing in mind. But there are multiple ways that homes burn down, and we need to defend against all of those. We have a good video that shows kind of some fire behavior and similar fuel types to our eastern red cedar. So landowners can see and homeowners can see, like, this is what a wildfire looks like when you're in it. This is what our firefighters are facing. And so they can understand the intensity that their home will be facing if there is a wildfire in their area. We hit the ember shower. And this one is important because over 60% of homes that burn down are caused by embers a mile, 2 miles away from the actual flaming front, getting into the leaf pile in the gutter, into the shake shingles, into the firewood pile next to the house. And 60% of homes burn down because of that, not because the flaming front runs into them and flame contact, but because of the ember shower. And so a lot of the actions that we take, that we cover later, are focused around the ember shower. And so it's important to lay that foundation of, this is a huge concern for us. Now, you can see on the picture on the right, eastern red cedar creates a tremendous ember shower. When those things torch, they're putting off tens of thousands of embers that are getting picked up by the winds and carried ahead of the fire. I was on a fire last spring that probably none of you have probably heard about, but 6 homes burned down a quarter mile away from the flaming front from an ember shower in Kansas. And so this is a real threat that we face here. We talk about an interesting tool a new tool that we have to kind of gauge and assess your risk in your area. It's the Kansas Wildfire Risk Assessment Portal. We talk about some of the limitations of the data and some of the uses that homeowners can apply, uses that homeowners can use it for. It'll show you your risk, your wildfire threat, the expected effects of wildfire, value impacts. So what kind of infrastructure do you have in the area? Expected wildfire behavior, like your flame lengths and rate of spread, historical occurrence of wildfire, if your county reports their wildfires, and then different tools like your county boundaries, city boundaries. And so this is a tool that folks can use to assess the risk in their area. And so that was the portion where we kind of sell the, hey, you have risk. There's a threat on the horizon, and you ought to do something about it today and not the day that you're having to evacuate. This is where we kind of transition into, what do you do? And the thought is, what do you do? What you do matters. The actions that you take in the years prior to a wildfire occurring are what will determine whether your home survives. In the beginning, we lay the foundation of defensible space. And this is considered the minimum that you should have around your property. Simply maintaining your home and the property around it in a way that allows firefighters to even protect it. If I can't get into your property with a brush truck, if I can't maneuver around your home, there's no way for us to protect it. And so at a minimum, our homeowners need to be setting up their property so that it can be defended. But the home also needs to be set up so that it can survive a wildfire with no firefighter involvement. It's because, and again, we tailor this to whatever community we're in, but in most of the state, there are not enough trucks to protect every home in the event of a wildfire. And so some homes will be unprotected by firefighters. There's just not enough trucks. And so this is where we bring in, following this, the home ignition zone. How do we set up our homes to survive a wildfire, whether there are firefighters protecting it or not? And the home ignition zone concept has 3 zones. It's the immediate zone, intermediate zone, and then the extended zone. And so the actions that we recommend are different based on the zone. So then we go through each zone and we look at what can you do in that zone to reduce the risk of your home catching. In the immediate zone, it's basically getting flammable things away from your home. Firewood piles, leaves, flammable landscaping, covering up any vents or not covering up, but screening any vents or openings to your home so that if there is an ember shower, those embers can't enter your home through the attic vents or anything like that. Using non-flammable landscaping. And then some specific don'ts. Do not do this. Then we move out to the intermediate zone, which is kind of your yard, and talk about actions that you can take in that area. And so the goal here is to slow the fire and then force it down to the ground level. We do not want any intensity in this zone. If there is fire in this zone, we want it to be dying quickly. Green grass is a fantastic fuel break. You can see here in this picture, this fire skirted right around the green grass. It was that intermediate zone was effective at stopping the fire from entering that and getting close to the home. We talk about other concepts in the intermediate zone, like how to prune your trees so that they have reduced risk of catching on fire. What to consider around your propane tanks. We get out to the extended zone. This is basically the rest of your property. And in this zone, we just want to reduce the fire intensity. We want fire to be on the ground. There can be fire in this zone. It can burn, but we want to be reducing the intensity so that when it hits that intermediate zone, it doesn't have any steam and it gets shut down. So it's basically in this zone, just reducing the fuel load. And in this zone, we talk about driveways and how we need to ensure that both homeowners have evacuation routes that are viable and driveways that firefighters can actually get trucks down to protect their home. We talk about construction materials that homeowners can use. Say if you've got to replace your roof, what kind of materials can you use to help make your home more resilient? What kind of siding? We don't expect folks to go in and get rid of perfectly good roofs or siding just to put fire resistant stuff on. But if you're going to be replacing it anyway, these are things you can consider. And then also that, hey, if you do have a house with a shake shingle roof and you can't afford to replace it, that just means that you need to take even more actions in the zones outside the home to reduce the amount of flame and intensity around your home. Just because you have a shake shingle roof doesn't mean that you're done. There's still actions that you can take. It just means you need to be more intense with the actions that you take around your home. And so that's a lot of information. When we get through with that, that is a lot of recommendations, and we don't expect people to remember all that. The recommendation that we have is, hey, start with the immediate zone, remove the fine fuels and close the openings where embers can enter your home. We're thinking about that ember shower. The immediate zone is where that ember shower is the greatest threat. It's that ember landing in those leaves in your gutters. It's getting in through your attic vent. So focus on the immediate zone, get that cleaned up, and then work your way out. We hit on evacuation after that. The big thing here is, does your entire family know your plan? And do you have multiple ways to get out of your neighborhood? Do you have a way to receive evacuation notices? And then we finish off with talking about national programs that aid in these efforts. Again, we just covered a ton of content. And we know that most homeowners are going to go home and remember a few things, hopefully the immediate zone actions, but then specifically what to do in the intermediate and the extended zone. These are both programs that can help landowners after the class, after the presentation, help them fill in any gaps that they have and help them decide exactly what to do. So I'll start. Ready, Set, Go is a publication that the Kansas Forest Service has personalized for Kansas that talks about how to get your home, an area immediately around your home, your family, ready, set, and go in the case of a wildfire. And then the Firewise program is, again, a national program by the NFPA that plays on the concept or plays to the concept that if one homeowner in a subdivision goes in and applies all these concepts, like that is great. That is great for them. But if their neighbor doesn't, and their neighbor's house is terrible, and their neighbor's house catches on fire, the likelihood that the house that had the practices applied will still catch fire if the neighbor's house is on fire is high. Home-to-home ignition is extremely difficult to fight just because of the intensity. When the materials that we use to build houses, all of the plastic and asphalt and all the different petroleum products, when those burn, it is very intense and hot. And so when one person does it, it's great. But when we can get an entire neighborhood to apply these concepts, that's when this stuff really has power. That's when it has the potential to really reduce risk of catastrophic loss. And so Firewise provides a framework for a community to work together. So how Firewise works is, say we presented this to a homeowners association in your area, and they said, hey, man, we would love to do this together. What we do is we bring together the folks that are interested and create a committee. It's got to have people who are leading it. We call them the spark plugs, or the people that are getting it going. So we organize the neighborhood, and then either KFS, the local fire department, or us together, we come to the neighborhood and we do an assessment. We look at all the homes in the neighborhood and say, hey, what needs to happen in this area? What are the issues? And so what actions does this area need to take? And write a plan and provide it to the neighborhood. And then the neighborhood starts doing it, starts taking those action steps from the plan and starts applying it. And so it's only 1 hour of volunteer work per year that the neighborhood needs to, per dwelling per year that the neighborhood needs to apply. And so it doesn't take a lot of time to become a Firewise community, but slowly the community over the years chips away at the issues that are identified in the assessment. And then once they've completed their work for the year, they tell us about it. We report that to Firewise, and the community receives Firewise certification. And right now, there is one community in the state that has received Firewise certification, and that's the University Park neighborhood up north of Manhattan along Turtle Creek Reservoir. And so we would love to see more Firewise neighborhoods and communities in Kansas. It's a great concept, building on, neighbors helping neighbors. We're all reducing our risk together. That's powerful, and that's how we really make a difference on our landscape with this content. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and that's what we're really after here. Doing the work ahead of time so that when a fire comes through, our communities are prepared to withstand it. So that was the very brief version of that content. Any questions at this point?
There is a question, Luke. And it's from Sharon. She says, are there any insurance reductions for being a Firewise community?
So Dennis can probably speak to this better than I can. My answer would be it depends. Depends on the insurance agency, but Dennis can probably.
A lot of it depends, but since we don't have many Firewise in Kansas, we just haven't seen that much at all. You know, so, and it depends on the carriers too, and in other states.
Thank you, Sharon. That was a good question. We know that insurance rates are skyrocketing, and we've all seen the Californias and the Floridas and the carriers pulling out right and left in those states. I would imagine, you know, that trend probably continue as we continue to see the climate changes and the impacts that we're experiencing. Luke, I had a question. I was curious about the house, the photo you showed where the house was in a valley and everything in the hills around burned, but the house did not. Is that in Kansas?
No, that was not.
Okay.
I just pulled that from the internet.
Okay. Okay. Well, I know how that. And Sharon wrote, that would be awesome if it could improve ISO ratings, with a follow-up to her question. And Crystal responded, good question. I'm interested in the answer. Crystal, I think Crystal just joined. Go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything along those lines yet here in Kansas.
Okay. So when you guys go out, like you did the neighborhood up in Manhattan with the Firewise program, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The presentation, because there were the two different presentations. Do you do the NPA presentation as well, or just the Firewise presentation?
I've done just the Firewise presentation.
Okay. And how long does that takes about 45 minutes with your groups?
So in that community, they've been a Firewise community for many years. I want to say early 2010s, maybe 2008. They've been a community for a while. And so that community, I went through the content quite quickly. I talked with them beforehand. We had dinner, barbecue together, and I got to talk with a lot of the folks, and they were pretty savvy. And so I moved through the content pretty quickly. So that was more like a 15-minute refresher for what I did up there. Okay.
Okay. Because I know you said it was about 45 minutes normally for a presentation. So
yes. So sorry. And I've given this presentation to two communities that were kind of interested. So from ground zero, and both of those were about 45-minute presentations. Yeah.
Okay. So good to know. Does anyone go ahead, Dennis? Sorry.
I might have you pull up that wrap slide again so people can get the website, because anybody can get on there and type in your address and it starts pulling maps exactly based on your community. It could be county or anything like that. That's open to everybody, to the public. And then we also use there's a advanced user also that we can start pulling a lot of critical data based on a county or area of interest also within that.
Yeah, the thing to know with the wrap is you got to be careful when you're using it at a fine scale. We're using national data that was available to us, and it's a 30-meter resolution, and we found it's national data, and so it's not necessarily tailored to Kansas. And so, for instance, crop fields are shown as having no risk. And in eastern Kansas, that's true part of the year. You know, I've used standing milo as a fuel break on a prescribed fire before, and it shut down 12-foot flames. In the western part of the state, that is not accurate at all. And so in the western part of the state, it's going to understate risk because it shows that crop fields have no risk. And we know that's not true. It also classifies cedar as hardwoods. It can't differentiate between eastern red cedar and like oak, hickory. And so that is a limitation because eastern red cedar are shown as low risk. It's really, really good in areas with a lot of grass with some woody vegetation and areas that are just socked in with cedar, it's actually going to show that they are low risk, and we know that's not accurate.
And a lot of that was also dependent on structures at risk too. So
Mhm.
if there's a higher density of structures, then certainly there's a higher amount of risk within those areas too.
Yeah.
I think go ahead. I hear somebody. I don't know if that was just background noise, maybe. Yeah, I think that might have just been background noise. Does anybody out there have any additional questions for Luke or Dennis regarding this? Because I know we've had Kansas Forest present. This is your second time we've had Kansas Forest Service present, and they have a lot of great programs. I get their newsletter each month, and I'm going to put a plug in for you guys for the newsletter. I pull stuff out of it and share it. Ariel and I told her I would do that. So there are things that I share out each month out of your newsletter to our group too. That's just one more way to help spread the word out there for our citizens. I mean, that's what, you're asking of the counties here, is to share this information out with their residents to help encourage, better to start now than to wait until one's happened in your area than to figure it out. We're always talking about weather-wise to be prepared. Well, same thing with the wildfires. And I don't know if you guys have any feel for this year compared to last year, or because I know, don't you track that as well, don't you?
Yeah, we track that. Is depending on where you're at this year, it seemed like the Northeast Kansas had significantly more wildfires than anywhere else within the state. There were a lot of the volunteer and fire departments have done a really good job of jumping on these. A lot of the good partnerships between the counties and within those districts. Once you get a start there, they're doing a great job. Hit it hard and hit it fast.
Dennis, I do know that, I don't know if it's your volume, but you are kind of quiet when we're hearing you. We can hear you, but I know it's a little bit hard to hear you.
Oh, is this any better?
That's much better. Yes.
Okay. Maybe I'll just get a little closer to my mic.
Yeah. I think it was, I know we were seeing a lot of fires, and unfortunately we've had that one of the more active springs. So that's not been a lot of fun either.
The last 2 years, Northeast Kansas had quite a few wildfires. Prior to that, South Central, and then getting over in, then prior to that, Southwest. Then you get up in that 4-county region, Russell, that 4-county fire up in that area north of Hayes, extending over into Russell counties. We've had some very large wildfires within the last 5 years.
Yeah. Does anybody out there have any other questions? Go ahead and type them in the box. If not, Luke, I don't know if we could get your presentation slides just to share out to help promote this to the counties. We'll definitely get it out in our newsletter and do some follow-up that way. And then we will have the recording link once I get it posted up to YouTube and get all the behind the scenes stuff done. We'll get this put on our as well, have it on our website. And let me, if I can, I'm going to put a plug in. KAC in the next couple of months will be launching a new database and a new website for our Kansas County members. And what we're most excited about it is that we're going to be able to do topic pages on our website that our members can just see on the back side, but as well, we can put things on the front side for the public. And it's going to be like going from a, I don't know, from a Ford to whatever a high-end car now is that's really everybody loves. It's going to be great because we're going to be able to provide a lot more resources and keep it on the website, keep it in a place where it can be accessed. And so we're very excited to have those tools available. And we appreciate that because Luke and Dennis, for our partners like you, where you have valuable programs for counties and for Arkansans, that's important to be able to go just to go to that place and get that information so that they can get with you to come out and do the presentations and things. So we're definitely excited for that. Okay, well, Luke and Dennis, I want to thank you so much for today's presentation on the Firewise program and just kind of a little bit more about, some more things that you all have available to help counties and to help Arkansans to stay safe and stay informed throughout the year. So do you have any closing words or wisdom that you would like to share with our folks?
No, I just say we'd love to come out. We love getting to see the state. We love coming to new communities. I do anyway. And so we'd love to come out and share this information with our state. So my email is down there on the slide we're on now. Please feel free to reach out and let's see if we can make something work. If you think there's an area in your community that would benefit from this stuff.
Awesome. Like I said, if you'll share those slides with me, I'll get all of that stuff in our newsletter and we'll get it on our YouTube channel as well and have it available. I will let you know that the Connecting Kansas Counties webinars are becoming very popular. And as you'll notice, for the month of June, we have got 2 webinar presentations coming up, and it looks like we're going to have a couple in July as well. So that's great, because that means we're just getting that many more resources, tools for you folks out there in the counties for to work in your roles with your residents. The June 20th webinar presentation is going to be registered apprenticeship in Kansas. You'll learn how registered apprenticeship can help you grow and retain your workforce while cutting down on hiring expenses, promoting diversity, and creating a skilled pipeline of talented employees. And we all know that we're all still struggling with the workforce out there and getting good staff. So be sure to tune into that. And then June 27th webinar presentation is introducing the Kansas Ecological Review Tool. And this is a new tool through the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks Ecological Services Division. And I won't read the whole description, but it is a tool that they are excited to launch and to get out there and work with the counties on it as well and let you know what the new tool is about. So I don't know, Luke and Dennis, you guys may be familiar with that product, and then again, maybe not. So
Yep.
I know there's lots of things going on out there and new things always being developed to help, make our state safer and to do things to, as well protect our resources and that. So with that, we're going to wind up today's webinar presentation. Again, Luke and Dennis, thank you for that. I want to wish you all a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Stay safe, stay informed. I don't know, it looks like, in Kansas, what do we say? Weather changes on a dime. So, just always be sure to check it out and watch out for it through the weekend. But y'all stay safe, have a fun Memorial Day weekend, and we will see you back here on June 20th. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.